Project monitoring, strategic joint ventures in aviation, and rent up amaze with PBB's youth. Those are the headlines for tonight. I'm Hendy Gui and this is TVS Nightline. Systematic management procedures will be in place to strengthen the quality of project monitoring and implementation throughout the state, especially on SIG projects.
In this year 2022, there are some project delayed banyak. So we want to monitor this project yang delay. What are the causes of the delay? Adakah disebabkan oleh cost? Kalau disebabkan cost, I have directed SFS to study the increase in cost. Kalau benar harga besi naik, so we can give leeway for the project to be tambah untukkan. The other one, the delay is sometimes tukar location. You want location A, but when the things are processed, you change to location B. So this becomes a difficulty on the part of SIMU because the whole process already done. Apabila you change the location, the whole process starts again.
He said this at the opening ceremony of a special project in Kuching on Wednesday. At the same time, Abang Johari said all GPS representatives of state constituency are allocated funds to implement special project.
Untuk this year, we have allocated for project CAS to all YBs, GPS saja, 242 million, 242.5 million to all. Mana this year project khas tu, bukan IDP tu, project khas 242.5 million. And then you have your RTP, which is 5 million.
In the same ceremony, Abang Johari also announced the appointment of Sato Assemblyman Dato Ibrahim Baki as GPS Whip.
The Sarawak government, together with the University of Malaysia Sarawak or UNIMAS, will continue its commitments in carrying out their responsibilities in ensuring a prosperous Sarawak by 2030. Deputy Chief Minister Dato Amar Douglas Ugah Mbas said the relationship that exists between both parties allows UNIMAS as an educational institute to move in line with the state government, especially in terms of development.
The existence of UNIMAS has also given a big impact on the development of Sarawak in the field of education.
UNIMAS sebenarnya telah bergerak seiringan dengan kerajaan negeri dalam membantu mentransformasikan bumi Kenyalang yang kita cintai ini menjadi sebuah negeri maju dan pendapatan tinggi dalam tahun 2030. Sebagai nadi ilmu di bumi Kenyalang, saya berharap UNIMAS terus komited dalam membangunkan modal insan yang bertika kemahiran dan tanggungjawab. Di samping itu, saya juga menaruh harapan yang tinggi kepada ahli-ahli akademik UNIMAS agar dapat mempergiatkan lagi aktiviti penyelidikan yang dapat memberi impak kepada kesejahteraan hidup rakyat di negeri ini.
He said so in his speech during the 25th UNIMAS convocation on Thursday. Adding further, he said that various development efforts have been implemented through the joint venture of the state government and UNIMAS, and it includes the establishment of the Sarawak Infectious Disease Centre last year. He said that the 190 million ringgit centre will focus on developing the latest treatment to curb the spread of any infectious disease. Furthermore, the establishment of such centre also proves the high trust of the state government in UNIMAS researchers. Meanwhile, in line with the current needs and technology development, the government is also actively strengthening the digital economic network in urban and rural areas. As an early preparation, Uga said that Sarawak has started the efforts towards a digital economy since 2017 with various implementations, strategic frameworks, and action plans.
Melihat kepada keperluan dan tuntutan tersebut, kerajaan negeri pada hari ini sedang berusaha untuk membangunkan infrastruktur internet berkelajuan tinggi bagi menyokong ekonomi digital Sarawak. Pada masa kini, kita perlu bergerak pantas agar kekal relevan dengan keperluan semasa.
Despite major gains in recent years, people with disabilities are still faced with barriers to fully participate in social and economic. Therefore, the renaming of Samarahan Rehabilitation Centre to Centre of Excellence for People with Disabilities, or OKU, would increase the marketability of the OKU group through the various courses offered.
Dulu, pusat pemulihan untuk OKU yang menawarkan latihan seperti jahitan, very tradisional lah. Kita mendapati bahawa dari segi seat popular dalam kalangan OKU. So kita revamp semula dari segi branding namanya, objektifnya, kumpulan sasarannya dan juga jenis-jenis latihan yang kita akan sediakan, skills training yang menjurus kepada iaitu training latihan untuk menjana pendapatan dalam digital economy ini, dalam dunia moden. Selain daripada itu, kita tahu bahawa ada di antara OKU kita minat dalam bidang sukan. So jadi di situ sebab ianya ada elemen asrama, kita boleh guna, jadi mereka boleh tinggal di situ semasa mereka latihan ini.
Meanwhile, commenting on the involvement of the disabled in sports, the ministry urges the International Paralympic Committee (IPC) to provide a more detailed explanation on the classification of sports involving the disabled athletes. This is due to the confusion that often arises when Paralympians join any sports event, for instance, the issue that happened at the previous SUKMA in Perak.
Daripada pengalaman yang lalu di mana ada di antara atlet kita tidak dibenarkan, tidak layak untuk menyertai pertandingan itu bila sampai di Kuala Lumpur. Jadi dengan itu kita nak pastikan sekarang kita buat klasifikasi daripada kita pastikan klasifikasi dibuat dengan betul dari peringkat di Sarawak ini sendiri. Itu kita nak pastikan bahawa apa yang dipersetujui oleh pihak IPC juga kita laksanakan, kita patuhi di peringkat home ground ini dahulu, masa kita belum menyertai pertandingan. So doing it right bermula daripada awal lagi.
She said so when met by reporters after the meeting with SUKMA Paralympic Athletes 2022 on Thursday. At the same time, Fatima said that Sarawak targets 60 gold medals and the champion for the Para-SUKMA 2022 edition in Kuala Lumpur. For records, the state contingent will consist approximately 180 athletes.
Now, Cebu Divisional Disaster Management Committee Coordinator SDDMC, Dr. Anwar Rapai, conceded the possibility of an increased COVID-19 cases at Cebu in the near future. Through his Facebook Live, he said it is likely to occur if the public fail to comply with the Standard Operating Procedure SOP guidelines.
Mengikut trend apa yang kita peroleh sekarang ni, pertama kalau ikut trend, kedua kalau ikut varian Omicron ni yang mudah dijangkiti, saya tidak ragu-ragu mengatakan di sini, kalau kita tidak menjaga SOP dengan baik dalam masa 2-3 minggu ini, kita akan melihat kes-kes di Cebu mungkin bertambah. Saya menggunakan perkataan word mungkin, bukan pasti. Mungkin bertambah.
Although most of the cases are in categories 1 and 2, Anwar stated his concern of the infection will spread among the high-risk groups.
Walaupun kes kita semakin meningkat, daripada 48 ke 73 hari ini, paling tinggi dalam masa 3 bulan saya rasa, kita mendapat kes paling tinggi pada hari ini. Tetapi dari segi kategori severity-nya masih lagi di kategori 1 dan 2. Ini tidak bermaksud bahawa Omicron ini tidak bahaya. Yang kita takut ialah apabila orang yang mempunyai risiko yang tinggi mendapat jangkitan, orang tua, orang yang banyak faktor risiko seperti obesiti, darah tinggi, kencing manis, sakit jantung dan sakit paru-paru. Itu kemungkinan besar boleh mendatangkan mudarat.
Meanwhile, Anwar advised the public to continue wearing double face masks in public places and constantly maintain their hygiene. The public are also advised to choose an open dining eateries or eatery that has good ventilation system. Cebu residents who are tested positive COVID-19 with the RTK antigen at home are advised to contact the COVID-19 Assessment Center or Hostel Desa Sanyan at 019-707-4391 or 019-717-4365 for precautionary measure whether they need to be quarantined or not.
The synergy generated through West Star Aviation Services and Hornbill joint venture will deliver a new level of customer support and services across the region. The evolution of future market requirements and the joint venture scope of activities could further prepare Sarawak with a skilled workforce in the field of aviation, especially on helicopters. Leveraging on their respective competencies, the new venture will be of a mutual benefit to further expand their range of services, capabilities and presence in the industry growth.
So the aim is to train Sarawakian to take over this industry. You know, helicopter offshore service is a very, I would say, serious kind of transportation. It's dangerous. So we have to be well trained. So we've agreed to train Sarawakian, and after 5 years, we will hand over the entire business to the state.
He said this after a courtesy call to the Chief Minister Dato' Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg on Thursday. Said Azman also says the joint venture will also cover the field of helicopter maintenance.
And I'm also keen, I have offered on further joint venture, not only in terms of helicopter transportation, but maybe helicopter maintenance repair overhaul center to be based in Kuching for this region, and also helicopter manufacturing facility.
Parti Pesaka Bumiputra Bersatu PBB Youth Chief Dato' Gerald Rentap Jabu is astounded with the spirit shown by PBB youth leaders elected into office. He said youth leaders have already proven themselves following their efforts and commitments that have been shown in developing the socio-economic standards of the community in the remote areas.
I think the purpose dan perjuangan kerajaan GPS terutamanya daripada Yang Berhormat Ketua Menteri untuk meningkatkan sosioekonomi kita dari segi pendapatan dan juga melihat kepada industri-industri dan cara-cara baru untuk membangun seperti sago dan nipah dan juga getah tadi. So kita melihat daripada pesisir ke kawasan pendalaman memang ada pendekatan kita dan kita telah menubuhkan.
The Assistant Minister of Youth, Sports and Entrepreneurship Development said the government, through the Ministry of Agricultural Modernization and Regional Development, has established the Sago and Nipah Development Authority and the Sarawak Rubber Industry Board. Both bills were passed in the recent Sarawak Legislative Assembly sitting. Thank you for staying with me. Now, for 9 days, a portion of Kuching waterfront and its vicinity will be totally closed in order to facilitate the installation of booths for the Citra Warna Keluarga Malaysia 2022 event. Kuching Police Chief in a statement today said the affected stretches, which are Jalan Main Bazaar and Jalan Gambir, will be closed from February 17th to February 25th.
In a statement issued today, Assistant Commissioner Police Asmon Bajah advised the public attending the event to park their vehicle at designated areas, namely the left lane of Jalan Tunku Abdul Rahman, Polyclinic, Jalan Masjid parking lot, Jalan Ku Hun Yang parking lot, Saujana Building, and Reservoir Park. Other than that, to provide more space for the event, all parking lot along the left lane of Jalan Main Bazaar towards Jalan Tun Abang Haji Openg will be vacant starting on 6:30 morning, February 26. Therefore, the public are advised to plan ahead and choose alternative routes identified by the police to avoid congestion. During this closure, motorists from Jalan Tunku Abdul Rahman are advised to opt for Jalan Ban Hock or Jalan McDougall to avoid congestion at the Jalan Main Bazaar, while those from Jalan Haji Taha are diverted out the Masjid Bahagian roundabout to avoid congestion along Jalan Gambir.
Kuching police are asking for information about a fatal pedestrian accident on Jalan Setiaraja. Police were called to the scene following the 7:30 p.m. incident on Monday. It is understood that an unidentified man was walking by the roadside when he was struck by a vehicle driven by a 21-year-old man. The impact of the collision left the victim with serious injuries to the head. The name of the victim has not been released. Anyone with information are urged to come forward to the nearest police station or contact the officer in charge.
Kuching Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Asmon Bajah said in a statement that his team have arrested the driver of the car, a 21-year-old local male. The case is being investigated under Section 41(1) of the Road Transport Act 1987. Those with any information can contact Investigating Officer Inspector Muhammad Azri Muhammad Azhar at 012-905-9549.
Now, as a generational endgame for smoking in the country, the Ministry of Health will propose a new law to ban smoking activities in Parliament. The law will be introduced to ban smoking and possession of tobacco products, including vape, for the generation born after 2005.
Its Minister, Khairi Jamaluddin, said tobacco consumption is the contributing factor for cancer and 22% of death in the country. The estimated cost to treat lung cancer due to smoking is 132.7 million ringgit.
The industry is well organized. They have a lot of money, and they will tell you that black market will happen. They'll tell you that enforcement is bad. They'll tell you that people should have the freedom to choose. But of course, we have challenges in enforcement. Of course, there's a black market. But that shouldn't be an excuse for us to continue to allow the sale of something that causes cancer to our young people.
He said this when launching the ministry's Cancer Day celebration in Putrajaya on Thursday. Meanwhile, Khairi said cancer cases had increased by 11% to 115,238 for the period of 2012 to 2016, from 103,507 cases recorded from 2007 to 2011. It is estimated that 1 in 10 men and 1 in 9 women are at risk of getting cancer. Khairi said cancer is also the leading cause of death recorded at private hospitals, with 34.95%, and the fourth cause of death in government hospitals at 11.56%.
The National Cancer Institute IKN in the Northern Region and Sarawak will be re-established to increase accessibility of cancer treatments, especially the low-income group. This mainly concerns the radiotherapy and oncology services, which suffers from shortages of specialists. Similarly, the rehabilitative and palliative care services are also facing the same problem.
Malaysia currently have 128 oncologists, where 36 are serving under the Ministry of Health MOH, while 14 more in university hospitals and 78 in private hospitals. Additionally, 7 are awaiting promotion as specialists.
Saya rasa agak kesal kerana projek Institut Kanser Negara Utara tidak lagi diutamakan, dan saya akan usahakan supaya kita wujudkan semula projek Institut Kanser Negara di Utara dan juga usaha untuk Kerajaan Sarawak menubuhkan Institut Kanser Negara di Sabah. Perkhidmatan radioterapi dan onkologi merupakan komponen utama dalam rawatan yang perlu ditingkatkan, terutamanya dari aspek kepakaran dan akses. Saya tahu kebanyakan perkhidmatan tertumpu di pusat-pusat bandar dan sukar untuk dicapai oleh pesakit yang tinggal jauh dari bandar.
Now, Malaysia has been selected as one of the 6 hosts for the final round of the Asian Cup qualifiers held in June. The Harimau Malaya squad, led by newly appointed coach Kim Pan Gond, now has the best chance to qualify for the 2023 Asian Cup in China, given their home ground advantage.
The Asian Football Confederation, AFC, in a statement today also listed India, Kuwait, Kyrgyzstan, Mongolia and Uzbekistan as hosts for the qualifiers to determine the remaining 11 teams that will advance to the finals that will be played at 10 cities across China. China and the top 12 teams from the second round of the 2022 World Cup 2023 Asian Cup qualifiers have already booked their spots, including defending champion Qatar, Japan, South Korea, Vietnam, Saudi Arabia and Australia. Now in the final round qualifiers, 24 nations are set to fight for the 11 spots set to be played on June 8, 11 and 14, with only the winners of 6 groups and 5 best runner-ups will advance. The draw will be held on February 24 virtually at the AFC House in Bukit Jalil, where the teams will be divided into 5 seeding pots based on February 10 FIFA rankings. Malaysia last qualified for the Asian Cup on merit in the 1980 Kuwait edition, while in 2007, the Harimau Malaya squad featured as joint host with Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam.
Kau rasa siapa yang ada cipta misteri? Selanta ciptaan naga. Misteri kedai gunting at TVSTVMY.
Now on to some global affairs. A 6-year-old girl has been found alive and in good health in a makeshift room underneath a staircase in a house in New York 2 years after she went missing. According to the police, the girl, Paisley Schultes, went missing 2 years ago, 290 kilometers away from where she was found, and the suspect who took her was said to be her own biological non-custodial parents. At the time, police believe her biological parents, Kimberly Cooper, 33, and Kirk Schultes Jr., 32, who does not have custody of the girl, had abducted her. On Monday, police said they received a tip about the girl's whereabouts and obtained a search warrant. They said they went to the girl's grandfather's house, where they searched for about an hour before locating the child hidden in a makeshift room under a closed staircase leading to the basement.
So actually, Detective Eric Thiel, one of my detectives, walked up and down the steps a number of times during the course of the search, and he said there was just something about the steps that was off. It didn't feel right. It didn't look right. He took a closer examination of it. It struck him funny that these stairs that come off a set of bilco doors at the backside of the residence that go into the basement, they were encased, they were closed in. And normally those type stairs are either made of concrete, or if they're made of wood, there's no risers and you can see behind the staircase. In this case, you couldn't. And it was built pretty solid. He used a flashlight, and where two of the step boards came together, he looked through the crack and he saw what he believed was a blanket. So they used a halogen tool to start removing the stair steps from the staircase itself. And then eventually they saw a pair of little feet. And when they got more boards off, they found the little girl, Paisley, and her biological mother, Kimberly Cooper, hiding in that location.
Paisley was taken to police headquarters, and upon examination by paramedics, the girl was said to be in good health, and she was then released to her legal guardian.
You know, I can tell you that on the way back here from the residence, we brought the little girl back here to be seen by paramedics, and when our detectives were driving past McDonald's on 212, she got all excited and she said, "Is that a McDonald's?" And the detective said, "Yes, it is." And she said, I remember I liked McDonald's food. I haven't had it in so long. The detective just turned right around and went right back to McDonald's and went through the drive-thru and picked up Paisley a meal and brought her back to headquarters, yeah.
Police arrested her parents and the girl's grandfather, Kirk Schultes, 57. They face charges of custodial interference and endangering the welfare of a child. Police said they interviewed Kirk Schultes Jr. several times since the girl went missing. He maintained that he had no knowledge of her location and told officers that he had not seen the child. Now, a U.S. patient with leukemia has become the first woman and the third person to be cured of HIV after receiving a stem cell transplant from a donor who was naturally resistant to the virus that causes AIDS. The case is also the first involving umbilical cord blood, a newer approach that may make the treatment available to more people.
Since receiving the cord blood to treat her acute myeloid leukemia, the middle-aged woman of mixed race has been in remission and free of the virus for 14 months without the need for potent HIV treatments known as antiretroviral therapy.
It's particularly notable because she's the first woman who's achieved a long-term remission of HIV, and it's particularly important because worldwide women constitute over half of people living with HIV. And in the United States, it's about a quarter. And historically, they've been underrepresented in clinical trials, and particularly trials of interventions that we hope could ultimately lead to cure of HIV. So it's particularly important that a woman and a woman who identifies as being of mixed race was able to participate in this study.
The two prior cases occurred in males, one white, one Latino, who had received adult stem cells, which are more frequently used in bone marrow transplants. However, bone marrow transplants are not a viable strategy to cure most people living with HIV.
New Zealand scientists said on Thursday that they have made the rare discovery of a baby ghost shark, usually found in the deep sea, during a recent survey of the east coast of the country's South Island. Ghost sharks, also known as chimeras, are not really sharks, although they are relatives.
Not much is known about these marine creatures because they usually reside at depths of up to 6,000 feet, largely inaccessible to researchers. Embryos of ghost sharks develop in egg capsules laid on the seafloor, feeding off a yolk until they are ready to hatch. The newly hatched ghost shark was grabbed from a depth of 1.2 kilometers. The find will give some insight into the species. Juvenile ghost sharks tend to be found at different depths than the adults, and in some cases look different than the adults. The creatures, which are also called ratfish, rabbitfish, elephantfish, or spookfish, have large heads and oversized eyes.
And that concludes the Nightline for tonight. I'm Handy Gui. Stay safe and have a pleasant evening.
This is our world today.